Hi friends, I'm teacher Luke and welcome to this Duolingo English Test practice video. This video is all to do with the new interactive speaking question, the one that looks like this on the test. In my last video, I covered strategies and techniques to help you to answer all of these questions confidently and of course to boost your score. This video is all about practice. So I've prepared 7 sample interactive speaking questions for you, along with answers for you to analyze. This will be really good practice for you because you'll learn about the different types of questions you might get asked on the test, and you'll feel more confident when you take your official exam. So watch this video to the end and make sure you give your answers to all 7 of these interactive speaking questions. Okay then, well let's jump into question number 1.
I'd like to ask you a few questions about food. Do you think it's better to eat fast food or home-cooked meals?
Honestly, I think home-cooked meals are usually better, especially if you want to stay healthy. You can control the ingredients and portion sizes, which makes a big difference. For instance, when I cook at home, I try to use fresh veggies and less oil, and it always feels more satisfying. Plus, it saves money in the long run and makes me feel more in control of what I'm eating.
Okay, I've got a different question. Why do people eat fast food so often, even if they know it's unhealthy?
I think it's because fast food is super convenient, especially when life gets busy. You don't have to cook or clean up, which saves time. Like, after a long day of work or school, it's tempting to just grab a burger instead of making a whole meal. It's quick and tasty, but not always the best choice for your body.
Thanks. I have another question. What are some health problems linked to eating too much fast food?
Eating too much fast food can lead to things like weight gain, heart problems, or even diabetes over time. It's often full of sugar, salt, and unhealthy fats. For example, if someone eats fried food and soda every day, their energy might crash and they could face health issues later on. That's why it's good to enjoy it only once in a while, not every day.
Thanks for talking about food. Now, I'd like to ask a few questions about education. What do you think education will look like in the future?
I think it's going to be way more digital, with online learning and AI helping students learn at their own pace. Classrooms might not even look the same anymore. For instance, we already have virtual classes, and in the future, kids might wear VR headsets to explore subjects like science or history. It could make learning more exciting and personalized for everyone.
I see. Let me ask you another question. What are some good things about using technology in education?
Technology can make learning more fun, flexible, and accessible for students everywhere. You can study anytime, anywhere, which is super helpful. For example, if someone misses school, they can watch recorded lessons and stay caught up. It gives students more control over how and when they learn, which can be really motivating.
I've got one more question. What skills will students need most in the future?
I think things like critical thinking, creativity, and digital literacy will be really important. The world is changing fast, and students will need to solve problems in new ways. For example, being able to use AI tools or work with people from different cultures will be super useful in almost any job. So, schools need to prepare kids for more than just exams.
I'd like to ask you a few questions about studying. Do you think it's better to study using books or a computer?
Honestly, I think both have their benefits, but I personally prefer studying with a computer. It's faster to look things up, and you can find videos or interactive tools that explain things really well. For example, when I'm confused about something in math, I can search for a video that breaks it down step by step. But I still think it depends on your learning style. Some people really like the feel of a book.
Okay, I've got a different question. What are the advantages of using books for studying?
Books are great because they help you stay focused. There are no pop-up messages or distractions. They're also easier on the eyes than staring at a screen all day. For instance, when I study history, I like using textbooks so I can highlight key points and write notes in the margins. Plus, reading from a book just feels a bit more personal and calm.
Thanks. I have another question. What problems can happen when students study too much on a screen?
One big issue is eye strain and headaches, especially if you're staring at a screen for hours. It can also mess with your sleep if you study late at night. For example, I used to study on my laptop in bed, and I noticed I had more trouble falling asleep afterward. So now I try to mix things up. Some screen time, some book time.
Thanks for talking about studying. Now, I'd like to ask a few questions about communication in the future. How do you think communication will change in the next 20 years?
I think it'll get even faster and more high-tech, maybe with more voice and video messages or even virtual reality. People might not even type anymore, just speak or use gestures. For instance, we already have AI assistants that can send messages or make calls for us, and that tech is only going to get smarter. It could make things easier, but we might also miss the personal touch.
I see. Let me ask you another question. What are some good things about how we communicate today?
One good thing is how easy it is to stay in touch with people no matter where they are. A message or video call takes just seconds. For example, I talk to my cousin overseas almost every week through video chat, which never would have been possible a few decades ago. It really helps people feel connected, even when they're far apart.
I've got one more question. How can people keep communication meaningful as technology changes?
I think it's about using tech in smart ways, still making time for face-to-face chats and being thoughtful with messages. Just because it's fast doesn't mean it can't be personal. Like, even a short voice message or video can feel more genuine than a quick text. It's all about staying human, even as things get more digital.
Describe some common sounds that can be heard in a neighborhood.
Okay, some common sounds that can be heard in a neighborhood include dogs barking, cats meowing, kids playing, and cars being parked or driving by. These are some of the most common sounds, but I guess it really depends on the type of neighborhood you live in. If you live in a city, then you might hear people having parties or celebrating something, perhaps even having a barbecue if it's a sunny day.
I've got a different question. Tell me about what makes a neighborhood special.
That's a really interesting question. What makes a neighborhood special? Well, again, it depends on the type of neighborhood. But let's say we live in a city. What makes it special is, of course, the people. If you live in a big city, it's likely you'll have a lot of people in your community, and getting to know them and building a sense of trust is what makes it special. There are also other things, like local shops, hidden bakeries, or cozy cafes, that can make a neighborhood feel special too.
Great. I have another question. Describe how weather affects neighborhood life.
Oh, weather absolutely has a big effect on neighborhood life. For example, I live in the UK, and in the winter, when it's dark and rainy, we don't really see our neighbors very often. However, when spring arrives and summer comes, I actually see my neighbors a lot. They're either cleaning their cars, having picnics, or barbecuing in the street or local park, and we often get together to enjoy the nice weather. So, yes, weather definitely has a big impact on community life.
Thanks for discussing neighborhoods with me. Now I'd like to change topics and ask you a few questions about anti stress techniques. Tell me why people may use meditation or yoga to feel calmer.
Mental health is such a major issue, especially for younger people. I think we tend to get stressed out a lot more than older generations. So, a lot of people turn to yoga or meditation to take a break, focus on themselves, and pay attention to their breathing and bodies. I believe these activities can be really beneficial, especially in today's fast paced world, where we're constantly getting notifications and distractions.
I see. Let me ask you another question. How does setting priorities and creating schedules aid in stress management?
Yes, those are two really important aspects of stress management. By setting priorities, you know exactly what the most important tasks are, and you can aim to complete them first. For me, I get stressed when I don't finish what I'm supposed to do. So, setting priorities and actually completing them is essential for managing stress effectively.
Interesting. I've got a different question. How can understanding the sources of stress influence the effectiveness of anti stress techniques?
Yes, of course, identifying the sources of stress is really helpful for reducing it. You need to know what the problem is before you can come up with a solution. You have to ask yourself why you're feeling stressed. Most people are stressed because they're not doing what they know they should be doing, and that builds up in the mind and body, leading to anxiety. So, yes, understanding what's causing the stress is the first step to dealing with it effectively.
I'd like to ask you a few questions about books. What are some reasons people enjoy reading books?
People enjoy reading for many reasons. Some read to relax and escape from everyday life, while others enjoy learning something new. Books can be entertaining, inspiring, or educational. Reading also helps improve vocabulary and focus. For many, it's a way to explore new ideas or experience different cultures and viewpoints without leaving home.
Okay, I've got a different question. What are the differences between reading printed books and digital books?
Printed books are physical. You can hold them, turn the pages, and sometimes even enjoy the smell of the paper. Many people like that experience. Digital books or ebooks are more convenient. You can carry hundreds on a single device and adjust the font size or lighting. Each has its benefits, and it usually depends on personal preference or the situation.
Thanks. I have another question. How can reading books benefit young people?
Reading can help young people in many ways. It improves their language skills, expands their imagination, and helps them understand the world better. It can also teach empathy, since books often put readers in someone else's shoes. Regular reading has also been linked to better academic performance and stronger thinking skills.
Thanks for discussing books with me. Now, I'd like to change topics and ask you a few questions about business. What are some important qualities of a successful business?
A successful business usually has a clear goal, a strong team, and good customer service. It needs to offer something valuable, either a product or a service that people need. Good planning and the ability to adapt to changes are also important. Many successful businesses listen to their customers and work hard to improve over time.
I see. Let me ask you another question. Why do some people choose to start their own business instead of working for a company?
There are several reasons. Some people want more freedom or flexibility in their schedule. Others have a big idea they believe in and want to bring it to life. Starting a business can also lead to more financial rewards if it's successful. However, it's also risky and requires a lot of hard work and responsibility.
I've got one more question. What challenges do new businesses often face?
New businesses often struggle with money at first. It can be hard to cover costs before making a profit. They also need to find customers and compete with more established companies. Sometimes there are legal or tax challenges too. And of course, new business owners have to learn quickly and make a lot of decisions under pressure.
I'd like to ask you a few questions about advertising. Describe how advertising affects people's buying choices.
Advertising has a big influence on what people decide to buy. It often shows products in an exciting or attractive way, which makes people want to try them. Ads can also make a brand seem popular or trustworthy. Sometimes people don't even realize an ad is influencing them. It just sticks in their mind after seeing it several times. That's why companies spend so much money on advertising.
Okay, I've got a different question. What are some common places where people see advertisements?
These days, people see ads almost everywhere. They're on TV, websites, social media, and even inside apps. You can also find them on billboards, buses, in newspapers, and on the radio. Some ads are more targeted, like online ads that are based on your past searches, while others are more general, like a commercial during a big sports game.
Thanks. I have another question. How can advertising be both helpful and annoying?
Good point. Advertising can be helpful when it introduces you to a product you actually need or want. It can also give useful information, like discounts or new releases. But it becomes annoying when it's too frequent, loud, or feels intrusive, like pop-up ads online or ads that interrupt a video. Some people also feel that too much advertising encourages people to buy things they don't really need.
Thanks for discussing advertising with me. Now I'd like to change topics and ask you a few questions about art. What are some different types of art people enjoy?
There are so many types. People enjoy paintings, sculptures, photography, and drawings. Some like traditional art, like oil paintings, while others enjoy modern or digital art. Music, dance, and theatre are also forms of art that many people love. It really depends on personal taste. Some prefer quiet art in a museum, while others like street art or live performances.
I see. Let me ask you another question. Why do people create art?
People create art for lots of reasons. Some do it to express feelings or share a message. Others want to tell a story or capture a beautiful moment. For many, making art is relaxing or enjoyable. Sometimes, art is created to make people think or to bring attention to important issues. It's a powerful way to communicate without using words.
Great. Here's another one. How can art affect someone's mood or emotions?
Art can really change how someone feels. A peaceful painting might make you feel calm, while a dramatic photo can bring up strong emotions like sadness or hope. Music is especially powerful. It can make people feel excited, relaxed, or even nostalgic. Good art connects with people on a personal level and can lift their spirits or help them reflect.
I'd like to ask you a few questions about learning from older people. Why is it helpful to talk with the elderly?
I think talking with older people is helpful because they've lived through so much and have a lot of wisdom to share. They've seen things that younger people haven't, and their stories can teach important life lessons. For instance, my grandfather always tells me how he handled hard times during his youth, and it helps me see problems differently. Listening to them can really change how we think and act.
Okay, I've got a different question. What kinds of things can younger people learn from older generations?
Younger people can learn about patience, hard work, respect, and even old traditions or skills that aren't as common now. The way they solve problems is often very different from how we do things today. For example, an elderly neighbor once showed me how to fix something without using any fancy tools, and it actually worked better. Their advice is usually simple but really powerful.
Thanks. I have another question. Do you think people today spend enough time with older relatives?
Honestly, I don't think they do, especially with everyone so busy or always on their phones. A lot of older people end up feeling lonely, even if their family lives nearby. For instance, my aunt lives alone and says she mostly just waits for someone to call or visit. Spending time with them can make a huge difference for both sides.
Thanks for talking about that. Now, I'd like to ask a few questions about leadership skills. What makes someone a good leader?
A good leader knows how to listen, stay calm under pressure, and bring people together toward a common goal. It's not just about giving orders, it's about inspiring others. For example, my old manager made time to check in with each team member and made everyone feel important. People followed her not because they had to, but because they wanted to.
I see. Let me ask you another question. Do you think leadership can be learned, or is it something people are just born with?
I think it's a mix. You might be naturally confident, but real leadership skills can definitely be learned and improved. Things like communication, empathy, and decision making can be practiced over time. For instance, I used to hate speaking in front of others, but after joining a club and practicing, I got way better. So it's something anyone can grow into if they try.
I've got one more question. What can young people do to become better leaders?
They can start by taking small chances to lead, like volunteering, joining clubs, or helping out in group activities. These experiences build confidence and teach you how to work with different kinds of people. For instance, I learned a lot just by being the team captain in my school sports club. It wasn't always easy, but it taught me patience and how to motivate others. The more you practice, the more natural it feels.
I'd like to ask you a few questions about planning versus being spontaneous. Do you think it's better to plan ahead or do things last minute?
I think it really depends on the situation, but in general, planning ahead saves a lot of stress. When you make a plan, you can manage your time better and avoid surprises. For example, if I plan my weekend trip in advance, I usually end up enjoying it more because I'm not rushing around. But I'll admit, spontaneous moments can be exciting too.
Okay, I've got a different question. What are some benefits of being spontaneous sometimes?
Being spontaneous can lead to fun experiences you might not expect. It keeps life fresh and exciting. Like one time, my friend called me out of the blue to go to the beach, and it ended up being the highlight of my whole week. Sometimes those unplanned moments are the ones you remember most.
Thanks. I have another question. Can too much planning be a bad thing?
Yeah, I think when people overplan, it can make things feel too strict or even stressful. There's no room for flexibility or fun. For instance, I once made a super detailed travel itinerary, and when one thing didn't go as planned, it kind of ruined the day. So, having a plan is great, but it's also important to go with the flow sometimes.
Thanks for talking about that. Now, I'd like to ask a few questions about working from home. What are some advantages of working from home?
One big advantage is saving time and money. No commute, no travel costs. You also get more flexibility in how you structure your day. For instance, I like taking breaks when I need to, and I feel more focused in my own space. Plus, being comfortable at home can actually boost productivity for a lot of people.
I see. Let me ask you another question. What are some challenges people face when working from home?
It can be really easy to get distracted or feel a bit isolated. Without a team around, staying motivated can be tough. For example, sometimes I find myself doing laundry or checking my phone instead of working. It takes a bit of discipline and routine to stay on track.
I've got one more question. Do you think working from home is the future of work?
Okay, guys, well done. You just completed 7 interactive speaking questions. Was it fun? Was it difficult? Let me know what you think below in the comments. Now, I recommend you watch this video here because it's all to do with the interactive writing question. Another tricky question on the test, one which you need to learn strategies in order to answer it well. So click this video and learn all about it right now.